All right. My name is James Shepard, and I would like to welcome you to this event brought to you by CC Sales Pro and by ZZZA. Got Danny McHale here. How's it going today, Danny?
Good, James. How you doing?
Doing awesome. Yeah, let me just go through a little bit of housekeeping and agenda real quick. So, what we're going to do is, in just a second, I'm going to mute Danny and his camera, and I'm going to go through a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation for you today. And this presentation, though, I have to give Danny a lot of credit for this because for the last 5 years, and Danny, you know this, I've been just really struggling to find how do I help merchant salespeople make this transition to selling software? You know, I deal with so many ISOs, and it's just all of them are asking me the same thing. James, we got to sell software. We got to sell software. These companies, Square is killing us. These software companies are killing us. Stripe is killing us. We can't get our salespeople to sell software. They don't seem to get it. And, our attrition is through the roof. How do we fix this problem? And when I found Zuza, I don't know, Danny, we started talking seriously probably what, a year ago. I mean, I know we've been in contact for a long time, but it's been about a year we've been working together, right?
I think about a year. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So when I found Zuza, I was like, okay, this is technology that people can actually sell. I finally created my video course, as I've been working on for a long, long time. I finally took everything that I've learned from literally helping hundreds of sales agents make this transition to selling software and helping ISOs make the transition to selling software. I finally made the video course for merchant sales professionals that want to transition into selling software integrated payments. And so my goal today is to give you the 20-minute version of that. Then I'm going to tell you how to get the entire course. I'm giving it away for free. So I'm going to tell you how to get the entire video course for free. Then I'm going to turn it over to Danny, who's going to talk to us about Zuza, maybe even show us a few things in the system and talk about what they're building as a processor agnostic software provider. Really, the perfect example of what I'm talking about in this course as far as what you want to build. And then we're going to do questions and answers. So if you do have some questions through my presentation or Danny's, just type them out in the question box, and we're going to jump in and answer those questions at the end. So with all that said, Danny, I'll go ahead and mute your mic and get your camera off here, and then I'll jump into my presentation, and we'll get you back on here in a minute.
Sounds good, James. Looking forward to it.
All right. So, how do we sell software to small and medium business owners? Well, I think really the best place to start with this conversation today is the wrong approach. Okay, the wrong approach. So, I have had the benefit of seeing this wrong approach play out like hundreds and hundreds of times as I have worked with salespeople and I've worked with sales teams in this industry. About probably 3 or 4 years ago, I started getting requests from my consulting clients that have sales teams, and they were saying, James, you got to help our sales team transition to selling software. And initially it baffled me a little bit because when I was selling merchant services after about 3, 4 years, I made that switch and I was selling software. But, it's funny how you can do something and then you look back on it a few years later and it just seems so obvious and so automatic. And then when you start to unpack it a little bit and think back to the challenges that you faced, you start to get some insights into it. And so, what I see as the wrong approach and the one that I see most people taking is the idea that they're going to sell software as an add on. And so the idea is I'm already selling credit card processing. I'm already talking to all these business owners every day. I'm walking in, I'm on the phone. I know what I'll do. I'll just sell them software as well. What a no brainer, right? I'll go in there with my pitch. I'll pitch them on credit card processing. Once they say yes, I'll say, hey, by the way, what about software, right? What about a point of sale system? What about online ordering? And I'll just kind of add that on. Or the other approach I've seen is the flip where they go in and say, well, I'm going to try to sell software, but my main focus really is still payments. So I'm going to talk about payment processing, but I'm going to try to get them on software to get them interested in what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to talk about payments. And then I'm going to try to back into the software at the end. And, I really thought a lot about how can I get my point across to help everybody understand why that just doesn't work at a large scale. If you really want to be successful at this, why does it not work? And so, the best example I could think of or that I could come up with was a car salesman. So I want you all to imagine, and actually, let me ask you this: how many of you on this event right now? Just give me give me a yes down in the question box. How many of you have ever sold cars before? How many of you were a car salesman at one point in your career? I almost got a job as a car salesman a long time ago. It didn't work out. How many car salesmen do we have? I see Dale is one. There's got to be more than one car salesman on here. Come on, somebody else. How many of you? What about cars or real estate? How many of you have ever sold real estate in your sales career? Give me a yes if you sold real estate. So we got cars or real estate. There's Rob. I know there's got to be a bunch more of you on here that have sold these two. So how many of you have been involved in selling mortgages? Okay, let me see. Give me a yes if you sold mortgages. Great. Okay. By the way, if any of you are having trouble, can everybody hear me okay? Give me a yes if you can hear me okay. I see some people asking about audio. Should just be on your computer there. Everybody's giving me a yes now. Good. Okay, great. Um, so let me see if I can get you guys to kind of change your mental state just a little bit here. I want you to imagine that you're selling cars. Okay, you're on the car lot. Here's somebody that comes onto the car lot. I walk onto the car lot and I'm looking for a new car. Okay. And so, I've got a big family. So I just got a Ford Expedition just recently. Okay. So imagine you're my car salesman and you sell me on a Ford Expedition. And I'm like, yeah, that's the one I want. We do the test drive. You overcome all my objections. You work out the financing and all of these things. Right. And then you say, hey, congratulations on buying your new Ford Expedition. Now, before you leave the lot today, I want to talk to you about buying a new home. How do you think that transition is going to go? Okay. Do you think your odds of selling me a house are really good? No, they're not. They're terrible. Why? Because the mental state that I need to be in as a prospect to buy an automobile is totally different than the mental state I need to be in to buy a house. Not to mention the level of that decision is very different, right? Me buying an expedition, I mean, I'm probably like the quickest shopper that you've ever seen. I don't have time to shop, So literally, my wife and I, we went onto the lot and I'm like, look, we need something. I got 4 kids. We live in an area that has snow. I want something that can fit 6 people comfortably with 4-wheel drive. And the guy's like, you probably want this Ford Platinum Expedition Max Pro something. I don't know. And I'm like, cool. How many do you have? He said, I have 2. And my wife and I looked at it and we're like, I think I like the white one. Let's test drive that. We drove it for about 2 minutes, pull back in, and I said, I'll take it. So that's me buying a car. Okay. Now, we actually just bought a house in November. Now that was a much bigger ordeal. That was a big decision for us because this house, I mean, we're going to live there we're planning to live there for possibly the rest of our lives. We're going to be there for a long, long time, right? So that's a pretty big decision. And I need to understand how many rooms it has and where all my kids would be in this house. And, this one has a pool. And so we got to figure out what does that mean? And what do I have to do for upkeep? And, there's all these complexities. It's this big decision. And what I can tell you is a business owner choosing a payment processor is similar to them buying an automobile. It's a significant decision to be sure, but they don't necessarily feel as locked in. They figure, I'm probably gonna have this car for 2 or 3 years, just like I'm gonna have this processor for 2 or 3 years. And if I don't like it, I can always trade it in on another one. You know what I mean? You're talking about software that's going to run their business, online ordering, inventory control. That's a humongous decision. And so, in the same way, if I was selling real estate, I wouldn't sell somebody on a house and then say, well, you know what, Susan, now that I sold you this house and you have this garage here, did I tell you that I also work down at the Ford dealership? Let's go down there right now and buy a car. What is going to happen? Susan is going to be like, who are you? Are you a real estate agent or do you sell cars? What's your identity? What does your brand stand for? So the wrong approach is this idea that we're just going to kind of, somehow we're just going to add it into payments. We're just going to kind of, combine these two things together. So that's the wrong approach. What's the right approach? Well, when I give you this right approach right now, I truly believe and I hope that many of you are going to send me an email in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, and you're going to say, James, I was on that event with you and Danny talking about software sales, and I finally got it. I made the mental shift. And now today I have 100 customers using point of sale. I have 200, retail stores or quick service restaurants using ZZZA. My residuals, not only are they high, but they're protected, they're safe, they're attrition proof because I've started finally understanding how to sell software. What is the right approach? Let me tell you what it is. I promise you, if you follow this, it's going to work for you. The key is a mental shift. Many of you right now on here that are selling payment processing full time, you need to decide to start a side business. Okay. You need to start a side business called, selling software. All right. That's your side business. That's your side hustle. You need to continue selling payment processing, but understand that these two things are totally separate. And instead, we want to focus on selling software as a separate thing initially. My recommendation and what I've seen work best is to take either one day a week or take 2 hours a day and focus entirely on selling software. point of sale systems, gateways, whatever it is. Okay. Now you say, well, James, that sounds really broad. What am I going to do during those 2 hours? Well, I'm glad you asked. I literally have a video course that tells you exactly what to do for the first 30 days to get yourself in the right position to be successful, and then what to do after those 30 days when you're at that starting line, how to prospect and all of that. But let me give you the condensed version right now. Okay. Number one, you're going to choose one business type. I have an entire video dedicated to this one decision because it's so crucial to find a business where you have experience. Maybe you have some connections. Maybe you're just really interested in that type of business, but choose one business type that you want to target initially. Okay. We'll talk more about in a second how you're going to expand that, but choose one business type. Maybe you just do really well talking to pizza shops or hair salons or auto repair or whatever it is. Maybe you have connections through a previous job. Maybe you were supplying dental shops. And so you were a dental shop supply salesman. And so, all, 300 different dentists, across your region. So where do you have connections? Where do you have experience? What are you interested in? Choose one business type. Okay. Choose one software solution. As you can tell, I have a beautiful picture here of Zuzo, which Daniel will talk more about in a minute. Choose one software solution. Okay. Then let's get even more specific with this, and let's choose just one value proposition. Okay. Just one value proposition that you want to do. Okay. So when we have one business type, one software, one value proposition, we can actually become experts very quickly. Even in the course of just a few weeks, we can really become experts at, for instance, hair salons solving online appointment scheduling for hair salons. This is a fantastic example of ZZZA. They have a great appointment scheduling software, which I'm sure Danny will allude to in a little bit. But the idea is you need to find one business. So you might say, you know what? My aunt owns a hair salon. I have connections in that industry. I actually used to work at a hair salon, maybe, or maybe you were a supplier to a hair salon, and you have a real interest in appointment scheduling and helping hair salons become more efficient and effective. You're fascinated by their model. Okay, great. Now you have your business type. Now you want to choose a software. Obviously, on this event, we're talking about Zuzo, which is fantastic. You choose one software provider that you can really get to know deeply. Then you choose one primary value proposition. What are these businesses struggling with most? In this case, appointment scheduling online is kind of a no-brainer. So you say, okay, that's what they're struggling with most. I want something where I can do integrated payments, and I want to be able to do something where I can solve a problem. Now, again, I have a series of videos of making this decision because you really want to validate these assumptions. You can do some surveys and some other things that I can teach you about that are really going to validate these assumptions for you. But once you know this is where I want to go with it, now you're ready to make that shift. And the first shift you got to make is a mental shift. It's a shift in your beliefs. And we all know this intuitively. We don't like to sometimes acknowledge it, but our success or failure in any area of life is, of course, tied to our beliefs. It's tied to our mental state, our mentality. What are we thinking about? How do we identify ourselves? Many of you right now, if I said, tell me what you do, tell me who you are, tell me about your work, most of you on here would probably say correctly, I'm a payments professional. I'm the credit card guy. That's what I used to call myself. I sell credit card processing. Well, guess what? When I started selling software, I had to shift my brand. I couldn't say I was the credit card guy anymore. You need to shift your brand to become, I am the hair salon software expert. I'm the online appointment scheduling expert, right? I'm the inventory management expert. Whatever it is, you need to identify yourself as the expert at helping one business solve one problem with one solution. Become an expert at that. Okay. An absolute expert where you have that level of confidence built up that you can sell it. And here's what's exciting. I can tell you, I have seen now probably 15 or more agents that I've personally worked with and talked with now that have fully made this shift, and they're doing one call close, two call close on point of sale. Why? Because they've realized that the only reason everybody's taking so long to sell software and so long to service it and so long to install it, all of these problem points are really because people are installing stuff that they don't understand. They have 17 different systems they can offer, and they randomly choose one for each client. They've never even seen it before. The agent has never seen it before. They have no idea what they're doing, And instead, what you want to do is you want to come at this with a targeted approach. You want to create kind of a campaign, I call it in the training, where you literally say, okay, fine, I'm going to go after this one business type with one solution for one problem that I know these people care about. And let me see how many people I can sell. And what will happen is you're going to get really good at selling that. You're going to get really good at overcoming the objections. And all of a sudden, the belief that many of you have right now, and I promise you, if I can do a raise of hands here, I won't do that. But I guarantee you, if I could, most of you raise your hand if I ask you this question. Installing point of sale systems, is it difficult? Is it time consuming? Is it bordering on a waste of time? Almost all of you here would probably say, maybe it's not a waste of time, but it's way, it's so time consuming. It takes so much longer. How much longer is the sales cycle time selling a point of sale versus credit card processing? Oh, it's weeks and weeks and weeks, right? That's your belief. Your belief is wrong. Your belief is actually based on a lack of experience of doing it. If you actually talk to the agents that have zeroed in on a vertical, I know I just talked to an agent the other day, sells convenience stores on point of sale. He has gotten so good at this that he'll go in and do one call close, sell them the credit card processing and the point of sale system, one stop. Then they have a really good installation. And of course, ZZZA here being a good example of this, where they install the terminal for them and they send it out. They do the full walkthrough. They have tech support. And so by doing that and by deeply understanding that system, it's not really taking him that much more time than credit card processing. When people call and they have a problem, he actually knows the answer because he understands the system. And so it's crucial that you become that expert. Now, what do you do next? What do you do once you say, okay, James, I did that? And of course, again, I've got all the scripts and all the closing strategies. I've only got 20 minutes here. I can't, cover everything. I'm going to show you in 2 slides from now. I'll show you how to get all the training for free. But we have all this training for you. But the idea is once you get really, really good at this and you've got that turnaround time, then what do you do next? Add a new business type and repeat. Okay. What does this mean? You say, okay, James, you know what? I found, 200 hair salons within 30 minutes of me. And I went to all 200. I sold 30 of them. I sold 20 of them. I sold 15 of them, whatever it is. Now I'm going to continue following up. I'm going to continue getting referrals, which is something you get when you sell software. It's something a lot of people don't get when they sell payments. You can, but it's a lot more challenging with software. You can't hide that. Okay. I promise you, when one hair salon owner talks to another hair salon owner, they may or may not talk about who does their credit card processing or who they just switched to, but I guarantee you they are going to be talking about if they got a new software solution that enables online appointment scheduling. And the same goes for auto repair places, pizza shop owners. It doesn't matter. When you get a new software as a business owner, you're talking about that to your business friends. You're getting those referrals, but what do you do with your time? Well, now you continue spending maybe an hour a day trying to sell hair salons, right? Still working on that campaign, sending follow-up emails, sending information out, calling back, all of that. But now you add in a couple of hours a day to sell the next adjacent business type. So maybe you pick chiropractors or something else where maybe it's even nail salon, something very similar to the first one that's going to use the same software, some of the same features, but maybe a little bit of a different tweak on the features. And now you start going after that one and you spend a month becoming an expert. Then you start a campaign and you go out there and start selling them. And so what I see the most successful reps doing is they're 12 to 24 months in, and either they picked one kind of broad vertical and they just are still zeroed in on that. And now they're full time. They started doing 2-3 hours a day and now they're full time because they're really all about it. I've seen others that now they sell, pizza shops, quick service, maybe auto repair and a couple, they sell 2, 3, 4 verticals, but they have the same software like ZZZA that they can customize for these different verticals. They've gotten to know it deeply and they're really the expert. Okay. So that is what I have seen that's worked really, really, really well. Now, again, I don't have a lot of time today to go through too much more, but before I do introduce Danny, I want to throw this slide up and talk to you just for 1 second about the course. So I thought a lot about what do I do with this course. This is without a doubt the most asked question that I get is how do we transition to selling software? And so I thought about making a whole separate course out of it, a separate event, charge for like a special event, a 1-day workshop kind of thing. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, I really want to plan it and I want to shoot it one time and I want to get it right. I ended up shooting it actually, I think 4 times to get it right, but now I have it right. And so what I did was I'm going to make it available for free. If you are already in our all access pass, It's free to you. Just go to ccsalespro.com/training, click sign in, and it's going to be right there. It's already free, ready to go. We have the section 1 loaded in there today, which is supposed to take about 30 days for you to run through, but we'll go ahead and load in section 2 for the rest of you guys tomorrow, but that way you can start to check it out even tonight. But section 1's in there. It's got probably an hour and a half worth of content in there. But if you go to ccsalespro.com/training, if you don't already have the all access pass, I will still let you go through this for free. I'll give you 14-day free trial, not just of this course, but of all of my content. I think we have like 40 different video courses in there, how to read processing statements, how to close deals. I mean, everything you can imagine about credit card processing, understanding the industry, all of that. And now software sales. We added one for high risk recently, understanding high risk, B2B, optimization, just tons of stuff in there. So check out that. Go to ccsalespro.com/training, and it's going to redirect you to the all access pass. You can get a free 14-day trial. You can start watching the videos right now. I even have one of them up there where you don't even have to start your trial. You can just watch it. It's a preview video, the first one. So definitely when we're done with this event, head over there and check that out. Now, again, I want to circle back to ZZZA, and then I'm going to, we'll get Danny's webcam and mic back up here. But it's really been incredible for me to see what Danny and his team have built with ZZZA. They've been around for a while now. And again, I think most of the technology that I've seen out there today, to be totally honest with you, um, it's not really designed. It's not really designed for, for resellers. It's just not. It hasn't been designed for resellers at all. It's really been designed more for, the business owners, and that's important. You want software that's really good for the business owner. But in addition to having software that's good for the business owner, you need to have software that's also good for the reseller. You need both. And so rather than trying to learn 50 different apps or trying to understand 17 different types of software and different point of sale systems, I love how ZZZA has pulled that all together. And so I'm excited to have Danny on. They're the sponsor of this event. Again, they really worked with me closely to get this training put together. And so I'm excited to have Danny tell you a little bit more about ZZZA and some of the exciting things that they are able to offer. So Danny, let's see here. Let me get you pulled up, and I'm going to make you a presenter here. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay, Danny, we got you going here. Let's see. Awesome. All right, I can see your
There we go.
screen. There we go. Awesome. Take it away there,
Excellent.
Danny.
Excellent, James. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for having us. And honestly, James, I think you're a brother from another mother, because exactly what you said was the same problems we were facing many, many years ago. A lot of you guys know the story of ZZZA. Some of you guys don't. I'll give you a quick intro about how ZZZA got started, where we came from. So I myself, and along with some of the partners at ZZZA, we came from the payment space. We used to own a fairly large size ISO. We had a lot of success before we exited to a private equity group many years ago, but we had our problems. I mean, we had our fair share of success, but we had our fair share of problems, and everything James just said today on this call were some of the similar issues we had way back when. Okay, we had a lot of, for every month we would hit record sales. It felt like it was a pain point to get all those merchants up and running. We had a lot of sales agents that wanted to sell payments only, not software. They didn't understand what the future was gonna, where the future was gonna take us. So it was a mess. I mean, there was a major technology gap back in 2013, 2014. And when I spoke at Sage Summit many, many years ago, I mentioned that. I said, there is a major technology gap, and people in the payment space do not see what's coming. So we quickly we founded ZZZA. We started to build a software. The goal behind this software was to solve 2 or 3 major problems for payment professionals. Just like James said, you can't sell a house and a car to the same person. I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well sell them a Rolex and a new pair of shoes, right? It's going to be an interesting sale for you. So the first problem we wanted to solve for people in the fintech space was we wanted to be able to offer a single technology platform. Because one of the biggest problems, James, we found, the reason why most salespeople don't like selling software, this was that we actually surveyed a large group of individuals, and you'd be surprised. You know what the issue was? They felt like the minute they learned one software, let's just say for pet groomers, they had to then go learn another software for restaurants. And the minute they learned one software for restaurants, they had to quickly go find another software for mechanics. So these guys didn't want to learn multiple softwares for multiple verticals. And it made sense. I mean, who has that kind of time? So ZZZA has a very Salesforce-esque approach about it, where with our software, you can click and drag, configure, toggle on, toggle off, whatever features you need. So we can customize that specific software for that specific merchant, which we'll show you guys here in a few minutes. That was one of the main problems a lot of the payment professionals why they were not wanting to sell software. So we solved that problem. ZZZA has officially solved it. You can talk to the thousands of agents that are selling our software and hardware today. They will happily tell you that you learn one software here, you're going to be able to attack multiple verticals and build a hedge around that residual of yours, right? Build that fortress to where you can protect your income and continue to grow your book of business instead of seeing your book of business shrink. That's number one. Number two, the other reason why a lot of people didn't like selling software in the payment space was they felt like even when they found a moderately decent software to the merchant, James, you said this a few minutes ago, it was not designed for individuals selling the software, it was designed for the actual software company. So the minute they found a software that they thought was a decent fit for that merchant, well, a few months into it, the merchant would need gift cards, the merchant would need invoicing, the merchant would need online, whatever, whether it's appointments, sales, ordering, et cetera, and those were all additional fees. So although the merchant started off pretty happy, after a few months, they weren't that happy. And guess who had to receive those phone calls? The sales rep. So ZZZA has eliminated both those problems. We're the only one in the industry doing what we're doing today. And I'm going to give you guys a quick demo. Obviously, we're not going to be able to go through everything in detail on this call just because of the compressed time, and we want to leave a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. But to give you a few examples of what ZZZA has done and what we've designed and how we can custom tailor the program. Let me get rid of that. I'm sorry. All right. A few things. So with ZZZA, you'll notice this is our dashboard, whether they want light mode or dark mode. We have, whether they want help videos, training videos, if they want to get feedback, they want to switch between locations. This is their toolbar up at the top. As you come through here, you'll see the basic settings tab. We'll spend a few minutes here, but you could add staff, add payrolls, add hours, whatever you want to do there. But let's spend a little bit of time on the settings page. So with us, anything you turn off or anything you turn on, if you turn something off, it will completely disappear from the entire software, right? So you won't see it on reports, you won't see it on the tablets, you won't see it on the POS system, you won't see it on mobile apps, you will not see it anywhere, right? But if you turn it on, you'll see it, and it works, and it's that easy. The other beauty of ZZZA is, and this is where we differentiate a lot from Clover and products like Clover, where our solution is if you need gift cards, you don't have to download a third-party app. If you need cash discount or surcharge, you don't have to download a third-party app. Online, you don't need a third-party app. This is how difficult it is. You ready? You hit the toggle button. You've now activated gift cards. And you're now ready to go to the gift card section down here and place your order. The minute they arrive, you can begin processing gift cards. Same with online. If you want online, and when we say online, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we don't mean online ordering, right? When we say online, we mean all three phases, whether it's e-commerce, online ordering, or appointments. So with ZZZA, when we say we're a full ecosystem, we mean it. So whether it's your POS system, whether it's your online ordering, e-commerce, or appointments, we do all three phases. Whether it's a mobile app or kiosks, we do it all. So one software, you do not have to go learn 95 softwares to be able to sell for merchants. You learn one software and then you can custom tailor it for 30 or 35 verticals, which I'll show you guys a few of our verticals that we're doing extremely well with here in a few minutes. So as you can see, anything you need, it's a simple toggle on, toggle off, right? It's that simple. And it goes all throughout the software. Again, same with loyalty. You need a loyalty program. All you have to do, literally, you would come here, you would turn it on, then you'd come here and you'd create one of the different loyalty programs you'd like, right? It's that simple. So simplicity is huge. You have to make this software not only user-friendly, it can't intimidate your sales agents, but it also can't intimidate the merchants, right? And that's one thing we hear a lot from our customers is, wow, it's a really user-friendly software. And again, that was something that we set out to accomplish when we originally developed Zuzo. Now, James, to add a few more things, I know we're running a little tight on time, just real quickly. You'll notice throughout the toolbar on the left, whether it's cash discounting and surcharges I mentioned a minute ago, gift cards, online, loyalty programs, full calendar. So you no longer need to use a software out there and have to download another software to have a salon calendar, right? Or a calendar for chiropractors, or a calendar for automotive or mechanics. It's free. It's included in the software. You just turn on. Estimates and invoicing. We've got a very powerful estimates tool where I can actually create an estimate right now, James. You mentioned you bought a new house. Congratulations on that. But if I wanted to put a deck in the backyard, I can literally come here, create a new estimate, send it to you. Once you approve it, it actually converts over to invoices. To convert to an invoice. And then you'd come here, you could actually make a partial payment, like on this one right here. All right, if you want to see what a partial payment looks like, you click it right there, and there's a partial payment. I could send you this link, and you could pay the remainder of the balance for your deck, or you can make another partial payment. Our software tracks all that. So we have one of our fastest growing divisions, actually trade services, automotive, uh, individuals in that world. And it's primarily because of the tool I just showed you right here. But again, everything built into one platform. You don't have to go and download multiple apps, pay additional fees, and eventually upset your customer. So to give you guys a quick glance of our online store, this is our online ordering tool. You can see it's pretty clean. We have, I think, a few thousand customers using this today. You come to the pizza section. You can add modifiers, partial modifiers, whatever you need, left half, right half. Everything you see, by the way, color-wise, logo-wise, everything up here, this is all customizable for the merchant to match their website. All right, this is our retail version. So if you have a furniture store, people that, we're getting all kinds. Actually, ironically, we're signing businesses we never even would have envisioned for the e-com site, and they're loving it. So we've got everything from furniture to outdoor supply stores to parts, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also have online appointments. So for all your salons, chiropractors, automotive, et cetera, list goes on and on. We do that as well. Real quickly here, I want to show you guys a couple of verticals that we're excelling in. I mentioned that we do a lot of trade services and automotive. ServiceNut is actually a division of Zuzo. So if you see merchants out there on the ServiceNut software, it's a Zuzo product. So if you'd like to sell Zuzo or one of our niche specific softwares, we have that available to you today. Reach out to James, will provide the link in a short while, and you could learn more about how we're dominating the trade services and automotive space. Same with the animal related product. So we have a lot of veterinarians, animal hospitals, pet groomers, you name it, James. And you'll be surprised how many we're boarding on a monthly basis, primarily because, again, it's at online appointments they need. We've got our customer management tools are extremely built out. So everything from vet records to photos to previous visits, allergies, we've got all that built into the software, again, at no additional charge. So these are some of the things that make us different, James, is you literally sign up with one software, but it's a full ecosystem. So you don't have to bounce around looking for new solutions, looking for new tools every time you walk into a different merchant. And if you want to do what James suggested earlier, which is very clever, pick one niche, one vertical, and excel at it, Zuzo is the perfect software for you. If you want to keep doing what you're doing and sell software to multiple verticals, we're the software for you. We excel at both. And that's really what makes us a little bit unique. And that's Zuzo in a nutshell. James, how am I doing on time?
Yeah, you're doing great. Got about 5 more minutes. I love what you said, though. I think the way to go. I think the key is, like you said it earlier, Danny. It's like once you learn that one vertical and you use something like Zuza and you get really good at it, that's only going to take you like 90 days. Then you're ready to add the next vertical. You don't want to learn a whole new software to do that. You want to just tweak the features a little bit and say, okay, I was going after, this one type of retail. I can go after, now I can go after hobby shops. Like you want to be able to expand, right? Without without having to like relearn the whole back end of the software.
We have one guy out. Well, there's a but there's one guy in particular that's doing extremely well. He's out on the East Coast, I believe, in the Boston area. And this individual, he actually started off with hair salons, nail salons, right? That's kind of what he started with.
Right.
Then he started adding yoga to it, and personal trainers, and physical therapists, and chiropractors. Then he started adding animal hospitals, pet groomers, boarding, and all of a sudden he started with one vertical with us. And now he's in about 10 or 15, but they're all pretty similar. And he's
Right.
using our, whether it's, Pause or one of our other divisions like Bloom, he's using one of our different divisions. So we actually helped him become an industry expert with our niche software.
Yeah.
And he's done so well that now he's come back to us. And some of the people on this call maybe are new to ZZZA, but ZZZA also white labels. So if one day you say, hey, you know what? I love selling ZZZA. It's awesome. But you know what? I'm ready to now start selling my own brand, which, by the way, let me tell you, this is kind of a secret no one wants to share. That's the worst thing you could be doing is selling someone else's product. And I'm not trying to sell you against ZZZA. Please sell ZZZA. But you don't want to be selling Clover. Because if you're selling Clover, or if you're selling Spot On, or if you're selling Toast, or one of these guys, well, when that merchant's family member walks in to buy a slice of pizza or get a haircut, they're referring them back to that company. So you're getting no organic growth. Where with ZZZA, we're all about building your brand, your product, your community should know you, not us. Okay, we just had another individual up in Idaho. I'm very excited for this individual. He's got the vision, he's got the focus. He says, hey, I want my brand to be known all throughout the state of Idaho. That's my goal. And he said, when people walk into my merchants, because remember, they're his merchants, and when they walk into my merchants and they say, how do you like your software? They say, we love it, call XYZ, right?
Right.
And that's really another unique factor of ZZZA. That's point three. Point one was we make it very easy for salespeople in the space to protect their residuals and not let guys like Square and Toast rob them of it, rob them of it. The second point was we make it very easy for the merchants to churn on new features for free. They don't have to download third-party apps and pay an additional fee, and then at the end of the day, they're paying $300, $400, $500 a month. And then the third thing is, the third reason why people come to us is for the white label. We're a full white label, and that's for all of our products. That's our mobile app, which we're actually announcing on today's call, James. We're going to be demoing it at SCAA later this month.
Nice.
I'm actually going to be, I'm sharing it now on your call. You're the first to hear it. But we now have our own mobile app. So whether it's a smartphone or a PAX A920, you
Right.
can use a product to roll on that, or whether it's online, and that's again, everything from e-com to online ordering to
Right.
appointments or POS. We
Right.
white label all of it for our partners.
Love it. Hey, Danny, talk for just a second, and we had a little bit of time left. Talk for a second about cash discounting, surcharging. I know a lot of our audience, that they're really into selling those products. Talk about how that works with ZZZA.
Yeah, absolutely. With us, it's a simple toggle on. It's that simple. You do not need to download a third-party app. You actually toggle on the feature. You create the title, so whatever you want to call it. We don't encourage you to do this, but we had some people even during COVID call it a COVID-19 fee, right?
Right.
But you would type in whatever meets the state and Visa MasterCard regulations. That's what you would title it. You would set the percentage, and on every transaction, it would apply.
Awesome.
And, and we're seeing a lot of it, James. To be honest with you, that's probably the number one thing we're seeing these days is that. Now the other beauty is with us, what a lot of our guys are doing is they're walking to these merchants, and all of these features I just shared with you, they're telling the customer that not only do you get all these features for free, but I could waive your credit card fees. So that's better than just giving them a terminal, right?
Right. Yeah. It's almost in a way a form of financing, kind of the pitch I've heard a lot of agents using, where it's like, yeah, yes, it's going to cost you a little bit of money to get the software and the hardware and all of that, but I'm
Right.
going to wipe out your credit card processing fee. So it's actually going to be a net benefit to you as well. Um,
Exactly.
let me do this real quickly, Danny. So I want to talk about real quick the screen that you're seeing right now. You have a link there, ccsalespro.com/Zuza, ZUZA. So that's a link page that Danny and I and his team set up for you to be able to go and get a free full demo. Obviously, Danny today was 20 minutes to kind of real
Right.
quick, high level. You're going to have a specific application. You're going to want to talk about different features, the type of verticals you're going after. If you want to do that, his team is ready to set up a full, demo for you. Or if you're an individual agent, they've got demo videos as well that they can kind of start you on to make sure it's the right fit. Is that right, Danny?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. On today's call, we're not going to be able to show you what we've developed over the last 8, 9 years, right? It was just a quick glance, and it was more or less to explain who we are, where we came from. But yeah, Zuzo was designed by people from the payment space for people in the payment space. It's exactly what you said. And what we tell people is either get with the program or you won't be in the industry for many, many more years. It kind of reminds me, you told the story of the car salesman and the real estate agent.
Right.
Many years ago, when I owned my ISO, James, we ran into a group. We eventually signed them. They were a partner of ours. They sold
Right.
yellow page ads, okay,
Okay.
for like $2,000 a month, okay, or $2,000 an ad. And I
Right.
remember I was pretty young in the industry. I'm like, look, this is a horrible business model. Like, there's Yelp, there's Google, there's stuff.
Right.
Like, why would you pay $2,000 for a little yellow page ad?
Right.
And these guys were so adamant, like, nope, this is the way we've done it for 40 years. This
Right.
industry will not go away.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but when I meet people that are only selling terminals and that's
Right.
all they concentrate on, I think every time we go back to those yellow page salesman ads because
Yeah.
uh, the times are gone, right? I mean, I'm sure you
Yeah.
could still get people on terminals, but
Right.
if you look at the attrition rate statistically for ZZZA products, it's over 7 years. When someone's on the software versus a terminal, I think it's like 2.9.
Yeah, if that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
interesting. Actually, most of the ISOs that I work with that have direct salespeople, they're running closer now to like 26 months to,
26.
I
There you
mean,
go.
so your average life cycle keeps going down and down, and the agents are, seeing that. I mean, it's not like there's nobody on here right now that's like, oh, you guys are totally wrong. I know that standalone terminals are the future. Like, no one on here believes that. Now, are there in 10 years still going to be merchants that use standalone terminals? Sure. But the problem is you're getting a smaller and smaller percentage. And so as you go prospecting, you're walking into more and more businesses that are having integrated payment solutions. And so you want to get that's a land grab opportunity, right, Danny? Like you want to get your piece before it's gone.
Exactly, exactly. You're 100% right because you look at it now, people say, "Well, I wish 40 years ago I would have bought real estate in San Jose." Well, yeah, the house was 200 grand back then, right? You should have,
Right.
but it is a land grab opportunity, and now's the time to do it. And with Zuza's payment terminal that we just rolled out with James, it does everything from invoicing to gift cards, time and attendance. I mean, it does it all.
Right.
So if you're going to
And
use a
the key,
payment
the key is
terminal,
that it's omni-channel, right? So it's like, yeah,
it's
it's like if you are going to sell a terminal, at least sell a terminal from a company that has other stuff, so that when that
exactly.
merchant reaches out and says, I'm glad you got this terminal here, but I need to do X, Y, or Z, you can say, well, that's great. Your software already does that. You just need maybe a different device or a different feature turned on or whatever. So if you're going to sell a
That's the
standalone
beauty.
terminal, at least sell something you can sell into.
Absolutely, and that's what you can do with us now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna dive into some questions. I did put up on the screen one more time the link for if you go to ccsalespro.com/training. So ccsalespro.com/training. That's gonna redirect you over to get the free video course. I don't remember how long. I mean, it's several hours of video content. I mean, it's pretty extensive. And most importantly, I really try to do my best to lay it out to give you really like concrete steps. Do this, work on this for the next week, et cetera, et cetera. So my goal was kind of a 30-day process to get you to what I call the starting line, where you're ready to sell something like a ZZZA. You have a focused campaign. You're ready to go and take action. Then I walk you through the second part, which is, okay, now you're at the starting line. Let's go. So with that being said, Danny, let's dive into some questions. I'll throw some of these your way. Does ZZZA set up the POS for each customer? Can you talk about installation and what's involved there?
Absolutely. We believe it or not, we're a pretty nimble company. So we have multiple options. We have some partners that say, hey, we want to do the setup of the software and the hardware because we charge for it. We have some partners that say, no, we want to hand that off to ZZZA to do the software setup and the hardware installation. We have both options.
And how does
And
that work
actually, we
with,
even have a third option. We have some people that say, hey, you set up the software, we'll set up the hardware, or vice
right?
versa.
They want
So
all the cables are in place, the hardware is there, everything's good to go, but then they come in and set up the software and customize the features.
absolutely. So with each partner, and again, if it's a most of our larger ISOs, they tend to do a lot of the work themselves. For independent agents, we just tell them, just let us handle it. Because,
Right. Right.
instead of you wasting 3, 4 hours trying to set up the software,
Right.
go sign the next deal. Let us just set it up because we've got guys here in Scottsdale. We've got we're headquartered in Scottsdale, Arizona. We've also got a fairly large office in our India office. So we tell guys, like, if you're going to do a couple a month, just let us handle it. But some of our other guys are doing 50 a month. They have a
Right.
few people in house and they do it themselves. So we have both options, guys.
Yep. Got it. Let's see. Rob from KIS Payments is asking, do you have any plans of coming to Canada? Any Canadian
Uh,
expansion coming up?
yeah, we actually are an international platform. We're working on multi-languages right now. So yes, we are planning to come to Canada very soon. I would say
That,
this summer even.
awesome. Some of the questions on here, we'll kind of combine a few of them together. That a lot of people were asking about kind of processor agnostic, TSYS, payment tech, Bantiv. Can you talk to that a little bit about the different processors that you have integrations with, gateway, et cetera? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely, absolutely. So great question, guys. So we do have a couple different ways to get to all the processors. To answer the first question, yes, we do all of them pretty much. First Data, TSYS, Global, Vaniv, you name it, we do it, right? And we use either USA ePay to connect to the payment processor. That's our payment gateway, NMI/USA ePay, or we use PAX. So we've got a couple different points to process the payments for merchants. So
Got it.
PAX is one of our partners, same with USA ePay. We're working on another one as well, but we're not going to disclose that on today's call. But we have a couple ways to get payments processed for you.
A couple of other questions. I'm trying to kind of condense some of these here. Talk about marketing a little bit as far as, what's built into the software now, loyalty program, email marketing, text marketing, reviews, is there any of that kind of features now and or on the kind of roadmap?
Yes, there is. So loyalty and gift cards fully built in. It's not a third-party company. It's ours. So loyalty and gift. This is why a lot of loyalty and gift companies don't like us. So if you ever hear, by the way, if you guys ever hear anyone talking bad about us, a lot of times it's because we kicked certain companies out of the software because we just said, let's just give it out for free. Why are we charging 20, 30 bucks for gift cards and 5 cents a swipe? Let's just give it out for free, right? We don't have to charge. That's Zuzo's philosophies. We don't have to nickel and dime our sales partners and then their merchants. So that's all built in. It's all free. We do have a marketing program. We're actually getting ready to expand it June 1st. So on top of our text and email marketing, we actually have what's called a targeted marketing feature coming out. So it's funny you mentioned that. It's one of the features that we've been, I would say, remodeling and fine tuning the last 3-4 months, James. So we've even got some automatic marketing tools. So for example, you go in, you buy a pizza, but it's been 2 months, you haven't been there. Well, as a merchant, I could set any customer that hasn't been back to my business in 2 months, I want to automatically give them a 50% off coupon. So
Right.
they don't have to do anything. It will automatically send them out that coupon.
Got it. Got it.
So yeah.
Couple of other questions here. And again, there's a lot of questions. If I don't get to your question, again, just go to ccsalespro.com/ZZZA, get a free demo there, or even just go to getzuza.com and you can look at, like somebody was asking about, a list of features by vertical. If you just go to getzuza.com, they have a huge list of verticals and things like that. A couple other interesting questions. Can you talk about pricing a little bit, Danny, at kind of at a high level? How does that work, per station, per user, kind of give them a little bit of context of that.
Sure. So pricing is going to vary depending on what they need, right? So if you've got a person that needs 10 stations, online ordering, and mobile readers and pay at the table and all that stuff, it's going to vary, substantially versus a guy that just needs one station.
Right.
And also pricing does vary from what we call our wholesale white label model versus our retail model. So if you're selling ZZZA, we do charge a little bit more per station versus if you sell your own white label solution, we charge a little less per station. The big difference is, James, on ZZZA, we're handling the support, the setup, all that fun stuff.
Right.
If they're white labeling it, they're handling it unless they pay an additional fee, then we'll take that burden off of them.
Right.
Okay. So it really depends on what they're looking for. So I'll tell you, we have guys that do one deal every couple months with us versus guys that do 100 plus a month. Okay. So at the end of the day, like James said, go to the ccsalespro.com/ZZZA, submit a request, set up a time with one of our individuals at our Scottsdale office to do a analysis. Here's the one thing we tell people: just because it works for someone else doesn't mean it has to work for you. Let's kind of custom tailor a program that makes sense for you, your ISO, and your sales agents. If you're an independent rep, great, we'd love to have you. We had a guy the other day, actually, believe it or not, James, an individual up in Idaho. He had been selling our product for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden says, I'm ready now. I've built up my own little ISO. He went
Yeah.
from one guy to 5 guys. He went from 8 deals a month to 40 deals a month, and now they're white labeling, right? So
Yeah.
it really boils down. We will talk to you, and if we don't think you're a good fit for the white label program, we'll tell you that, or vice versa, right? We'll say, hey, why aren't you looking at this, or why aren't you looking at this? But
Right.
our success is your success. We don't have a direct feet on the street W-2 sales team. We do not sell to merchants. We're not a competitor. That's one thing about Zuzo. We don't sell merchant services. We don't sell to merchants. All of our sales comes through our partners, right? So that's our model. So our success is tied to your success. So we want to make sure that you do extremely well at Zuzo.
I love it. Talk about equipment a little bit, hardware. Some people have asked about, do you have Zuza hardware? You mentioned packs earlier. Talk about that a little bit as far as the hardware type setups that, different merchants might be using.
Sure. So with Zuzo, we're Apple and Android. We have both apps available. Okay. So if you need someone that just, you walk in, and a lot of times it depends on what the merchant wants. Like
Right.
sometimes you'll walk in, James, and they were using a Apple-based POS system. Well, maybe they don't want to buy new hardware. So all you got to do is get a new payment device for $150. You've converted them, right?
Right.
So we're Apple and Android. We work with All Star printers. We work with some Ingenicos, Castle devices, and Pax. Those are kind of our three payment terminals: Ingenico, Pax, and Castle. And regards to actual POS systems on that, it could be anything. It could be a Samsung. It could be an Apple. There's tons of different hardware out there that we work with.
Right. So, I think that's an important distinction too. You guys are a software company and you've designed the software to work with many different types of hardware, primarily because of the Apple and Android markets. You have an app. So, iPad Pro, that kind of thing would work with Zuza. And
Absolutely.
the other thing I will say about that too, one thing I actually really like about Zuza is the fact that when you're doing a demo, you actually don't have to buy like an enormous, device. You can just get like even an iPad Air. It's a little bit harder because the screen's not quite as big, but you can do a pretty decent demo with an iPad Pro for sure. I don't know your thoughts on that, but that's one thing I actually like. Is you can do a demo with a regular iPad.
We just had one of our partners, I believe they're up in Chicago. They just bought 100 Samsung tablets for like $100 each.
Yeah.
Okay, just for their sales agent. So, I've got an iPad Pro. It's actually sitting right here. That's what I use for my demos.
Yep.
I still like Apple. I feel like they make a pretty product and it's
Yeah.
pretty good. But
Yeah.
you don't have to spend $500-600. You can go spend $100 for a Samsung,
Right.
and just and then our sales team at Zuza will give you a demo app where
Right.
you can go out there and play around and show it to merchants, and we'll even
Cool.
help you build your demo store just to help you sell more deals.
Love it. Um, let's see. We had so many other questions. I think this one we've already spoken to a little bit, but just to kind of clarify, so if it's an individual agent that wants to sell Zuza, they're not ready to, do all the branding and all of that. They would just sell the Zuza brand directly,
Yeah.
right? Versus if there's an ISO, maybe their ISO has Zuza, that ISO probably they wouldn't even know it was Zuza right off the bat because they would have white labeled it, and then they'd be able to offer that through their ISO is the idea.
We had an ISO the other day walk into a business, and the merchant's like, I absolutely love my software. I'll never switch. He's like, can I see it? And they're like, no, just get out. And he's like, can I see it, please? And they showed it to him. And it was a Zuza product, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of times you're not aware that you're going up against Zuza, and it's a tough sell. So
Right.
um,
Right. Well,
so
and because
absolutely.
Zuza has all these different brands, because it's you're
Exactly. There's so many. We've
represented
got
as
a
all
couple
these
hundred.
different.
Yeah, we've got a couple hundred apps out there, which is pretty. That tells you the kind of success we're having, right?
Right.
But yeah, absolutely. You can sell Zuza as an agent. You can sell Zuza as an ISO. We have some ISOs. They don't want a white label. That's fine. We don't make anyone. Again,
Right.
we don't believe one size fits all, right? Like, could you
Right.
imagine? You mentioned, you bought an Expedition. Believe it or not, that's what my wife drives. So they're phenomenal trucks,
No.
right?
Yes,
Uh,
there.
so could you imagine walking to a dealership and they only have one vehicle? That makes no sense, right? It's not
Right.
not one vehicle fits all. So
Right.
the one thing I would tell you is um, we will talk to you guys. We'll make sure, because we have to make sure you're a good fit for that program as well, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's maybe you want to do something a certain way, but we think that there's a better way to do it. So if we don't think you're ready for the white label portion yet, we'll tell you, hey, maybe hold off on 3 or 4 or 5 months. If we
Right.
think you're ready for it, then sure, we'll get you going on that too.
Cool. We'll just do one more question here. and that is in regards to EBT. What do you guys do with EBT, like convenience store type merchants? We had several people ask about that.
So ABT, we're working on an integration. It is a little bit messier, James.
Yeah, 'cause it's all
That's
by the
probably been, I think, between EBT and there's one other request we've been getting a lot of, but those are the two that we're working on this summer. As soon as our marketing platform, our revamp of marketing is
right,
complete,
right, right,
those are the two. Now that we've finished up the mobile app and packs
right.
and all that fun stuff, so we are working on EBT. If
Yep,
anyone has any good ideas or suggestions, let us know. But at least from what we've seen, is some states like to handle it themselves,
right.
and they
That's a
don't
really tough
necessarily.
one,
Yeah, some states don't want POS companies to tie into them.
right? Because they want to sell. They make money off of the devices and stuff, and so they do it separate. So
You
yeah, it
you
does get
have
a
to
little.
get Yeah, you have to get their own Verifone terminal. So if anyone, and listen, go to ccsalespro.com/Zuza if you have any ideas or suggestions.
Yeah,
We kind of, a lot of our partners, and I say this jokingly, but a lot of our partners call us the square killer or the clover killer, or the toast killer, right? We've built that reputation and brand. And really, I'd love to sit here and say we're absolute geniuses. It's really because of people that are on this call. A lot of our partners, I mean, Zuza was a phenomenal design and architecture back in 2013, 14, but we've become who we are today. And we're now either a top 3 or top 5 player in the space. And we've become who we've become today because of our partners. So we
right.
have, some of our ideas that you see, some of the features, it's because of some of the sales agents that we have working at Zuza.
Love it. Well, let's do this. So real quick then, before we sign off here, if you are in the chat, I'm going to post 2 links. If you go into the chat, I already posted the link there of ccsalespro.com/Zuza. Let me post the training one again real quick as well. And let's post this one more time here. So if you're in the chat right now, and you'll see a couple links that just got posted there. Again, one is ccsalespro.com/Zuza. If you've never had a demo or never talked to anybody at Zuza, I highly encourage you, go and get that demo. You're going to be blown away by the features and the way it's set up. So take a look at that. If you want to get the training to make this transition, again, you guys all know me, you know how I do the training, but I mean, I really outlined this one. Danny knows I've been working with Danny on this for who knows how long now. And I keep saying, I'm almost done with it. And then I'll scrap it and I'll start over again. So I'm really picky about this stuff. It's got to be right. And to me, when I say right, I don't care if it sounds good. I care that it's effective and that it works. And so, I would start on it and then I'd say, oh, hold on. And then I'd go talk to 5 or 6 agents that have made the transition. And I'd say, is this what you're saying? No, not really. Okay, well then forget that. Like, it's got to be right. And so I've got the training now. I promise you, if you go through it and you follow it, you can absolutely become successful selling software and transition your skills to really become that software sales expert that you need to be if you really want to grow your book of business over the next 5 years. So Danny, one last word of wisdom from you. We got a lot of agents on here, ISOs. They're all like, oh, we love this. This sounds so fun. We got to make this transition, but they haven't made the transition yet. Any final words of wisdom to them that you would tell them about making this transition?
Absolutely. I mean, it really boils down to what your goals are in this industry. So I've talked to some agents and they say, hey, I'm down to my last 6 months and I want to get out of this industry because I'm retiring. Well, then maybe it doesn't make sense to transition.
Right.
But if
Right.
you actually want to be in this space, it is a little bit more work. It is a little bit more time to transition. But if you don't transition, you're not going to be around much longer, right? And the reason that's important because a little extra work will take an account that you might have for 2.5 years and let it last 7 years. So
Right.
that's what I always tell people. Whenever I speak, whenever I'm invited to speak, I say, listen, guys, an extra week of work for an extra 5 years of residual on that account, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. If you look
Yep.
at, whatever your hourly rate is, calculate it and find out if that account is worth 5 extra years. And then you'll quickly find out that, wait a minute, who cares it took me 2 or 3 or 5 days longer to sign that account because of software? So it's really a no-brainer when you actually sit down and calculate the numbers, right? When you
Yeah.
actually look at it. So,
Yeah.
and once you learn it, listen, again, not selling Zuza here, but I understand the frustration and pain points of selling software. It's extremely difficult when you're having to sell 15 different verticals, 15 different softwares.
Right.
Once you learn Zuza, once you sell 3 or 5 or 6, you're hooked. That's what we tell people. We say once you sell 3 or 5 or 6, you're hooked. You're not going to sell anything else ever again.
Yeah, love it. Well, Danny, thank you so much for taking time to join and for sponsoring the event. Hopefully, our audience got a lot out of it. Oh, I should mention too, I forgot one thing. If you're an ISO, we have a lot of ISOs that probably have representatives on here. You're already subscribed to our training. Obviously, this training, we're going to brand it for you and we're going to allow you to host it as well. Just reach out to John and our team. It's jon@ccsalespro.com, jon@ccsalespro.com. If you want the training for your team, you want it branded, just reach out to him. Again, it's jon@ccsalespro.com. He can help you out with that. So, Danny, hey, thank you so much for your time. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around with us on this event. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, James. I appreciate all the hard work you do, man. Actually, the other day I had an ISO say you're the Michael Jordan of the industry. So uh,
I'll start wearing
I
number
love
23 next time. So,
that's what I was going to tell you. You need to wear 23 next time. So
awesome. Well, I
thanks for
appreciate
all
it.
that you do, my friend.
Thanks, Danny. Have a great day.
Thank you.